Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. We are Millennial Mom. If you don't know who is who, I'm Millennial. This is Mom. Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, I'm Mom or Kay from Millennial Mom, and today we're going to talk about Married at First Sight season 17 Denver episode 3. Episode is called Hard Launch. Now, just with like any other video, please consider subscribing to the family, like the video, leave me your comments so I know what you thought about the couples and this episodes, and tell a friend to tell a friend that Mom or Kay from Millennial Mom does the Married at First Sight Denver season. All right, let's get started. So in tonight's episode, we have the final couple getting married. It's Clare and Cameron. I think it was sweet to have a picture of Clare's brother who passed away 4 years ago, have a seat reserved for him so he could be there in spirit to watch his sister get married. When Clare and Cameron meet each other at the altar, Clare, when she hears Cameron's accent, she's like, oh my goodness, now your gift makes sense. If you remember last week before I gave the cliffhanger of who was getting married, Cameron gave Clare a stuffed animal named Kiwi. So she figured out like, oh yeah, everything makes sense now. So as they're getting married, of course, their friends and the family say what it is about each other that they want each other to know. And I always say, to me, I find it very interesting what it is that your family and friends think about you and have to say. So with Cameron's friends and family, they want Clare to know that he's not just a tall man with a great head of hair, but he's a tall man with a great head of hair. They say his accent is the coolest thing about him. And they also mention that Cameron has a bike shop, likes to take trips with his buddies, and life with Cameron will be an adventure. Now for Clare, she's genuine and a faithful soul, and she loves with all her heart. They say when she starts to impersonate you, that's how you know you got it in good. So, all right, well, when they came to the vows, I mean, they were nice for the most part. One thing they did have in common, though, was they did both in the vows talk about life's adventures and life's journey together. Now, after the ceremony, Clare and Cameron talk and they get to know each other a little bit. They're both complimentary of each other. They both say it's a relief to get everything out the way, you know, because the anticipation leading up to everything without knowing who each other were. And I get that. I mean, you are marrying a stranger and you are putting your whole faith in experts who matched you what was on paper first versus the physicality. Then the conversation turns to Cameron telling Clare that his family, his mom, dad, and brother are still in New Zealand, but the family that's at the wedding now are, it's a long story, it's like a friend of his mom's college roommate that he got to know that gave him a job, and they became, you know, his family here in the States now, and just a whole big puzzle piece as to who was out there. Cameron asked Clare, oh, I noticed there was a picture sitting there. Can you give me a little bit of a background? And that's when Clare mentioned that she is, first of all, a quadruplet. And he was like, what, really? She goes, yeah, you know, 4 of us were born at the same time. And then that her brother was part of the quadruplet, and that's whose picture is there. And unfortunately, he did pass away 4 years prior. But Clare did go on to say also that she feels that her brother helped assist with her journey to Married at First Sight, so she feels his spirit within her. Next, we move to the couples. They're taking their wedding pictures, and for the most part, the nerves are gone. But is it me, or is Emily giving like this is a big old party versus this is my wedding reception kind of thing? I think the person and the people, I should say, that were having the most fun, seemed like they were having the most connection, even from the first time when we saw them get married last episode. Again, for me, is Becca and Austin. They really seemed like they were into everything, and just even the conversations flowed with him, with her, them together, the families, through the whole evening. So we have a few quick scenes that go on. We have the couple's first dance, and then we have the couples talking with each other before they break out to talk to friends and family separately. So up first, we have Lauren and Orion. They're dancing and they're asking, you know, what were each other's first impressions? And so far, it's coming across lovey-dovey, especially from Lauren's part. She's saying in confessional that she prayed, and she even said this to Orion, I believe, that she prayed that she would find someone that she could slow dance with. And here she is, like her dreams are becoming reality. She's slow dancing with her husband. Lauren also tells Orion, as they're talking later, that her mother had passed away, and she said that with her not being here, there is a void. She said that's her best friend, her counselor. She goes, her mother was the person who, if she made a mistake, even as far as like maybe with doing things she had no business, her mom would say, well, how was it? And when she gave the answer, she would be like, you shouldn't have did that. She would listen first and then respond afterwards. And then when Orion starts to share his life, he says that he's finishing real estate school and he hopes that she doesn't mind that he's still living with his mother. Lauren also goes to say that it's okay to live at home as long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're responsible and, moving on from your journey after you leave from home to be out on your own. Because she said to her sister or cousin or somebody that you left home too soon. Like, what is the rush? Because the only thing you're going to is bills. So stay home. Don't worry about the social norms and do what's best for you. Now, I'm going to say this. Last episode, when I saw Orion and Lauren get married, and when they're originally going out to talk about, whatever it is that they want to know about each other from their first impressions, I'm standing by the energy that Lauren gives me. She comes across as bossy in nature. And I still say that Orion is not going to sit well with that. His energy, his flow, just everything about Orion doesn't give. Like I mentioned last week, he's not with the extras. All right, so when we see Clare and Cameron, the first dance together, he's picking her up and says Claire's in good hands. And Clare actually is still on the nervous side. Cameron has noticed this. He's asking her to relax. And I find that very interesting that Cameron is taking the lead with Clare when Clare is a therapist for a living. She's a trained therapist. I know that her being a trained therapist and her being in this moment isn't the same thing, but I would have thought that maybe it would have came in handy with her relying on the skills that she's learned with this process. But when Clare and Cameron actually talk with each other to find out more of who they are, Clare tells Cameron that, I really don't want to say this, but I have been used to being with the wrong guy. And Cameron says, yeah, you know what? I can see that. He said, not in a bad way. It's kind of like a moth to a flame. Then they get to talking about what they're looking for, just like they said in their vows. Clare had mentioned the journey that she wants to go on and how she sees her life going. And Cameron said, yeah, I'm here to help you with that. We're together. And, that's what we're going to do with our journey going forward. And Clare said, well, how would you know? He said, well, you just said that in the vows. And Clare was like, oh yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But at the end of the conversation, Cameron said on the surface, he feels like this marriage can work. So again, I have questions for Clare. All right, now at Emily and Brennan's wedding, party girl Emily in confessional is saying she's feeling a spark and she feels like maybe later tonight things might be spicy. When Emily and Brennan get to talking with each other, they say different little things. They bring up like driving habits, and Emily said, oh yeah, I'm a bad driver. And then she also brings up, well, how did it go at the bachelor party for you? Brennan said, oh, it was just regular with just strippers. And so Brennan said, how was it for you, Emily? And Emily said, well, I was taking shots, and I was even taking shots off the stripper. And Brennan looked away, he gave a little laugh, and then he turned back and said, wait, you really took shots off the stripper's body? Emily said, yeah, my aunt told me or suggested I should do it, and I did it. So, yeah. In confessional, Brennan says, Emily is more like the life of the party, and he's more reserved. He said that maybe it's a good thing going forward to help him come out of his shell. I'm thinking Emily is so used to being the party girl, so used to being wild and carefree that this might be a shell that maybe Brennan may or may not be able to come out of, because he may or may not be comfortable with everything that Emily is bringing to the table. Moving to Becca and Austin's wedding, things are still moving along. They seem to really hit it off like they've been knowing each other forever. The pictures were nice. The families were even like, hey, yeah, all into everything. And then, not only do they have the bond over the Nintendo 64, they're both gamers, which they mentioned in their vows, but they also have a bond over that they're both allergic to cats. So I guess there will be no cats in that home in the future. So now when it comes to the friends and family getting to talk to the bride and groom one-on-one, we start with Becca. Becca said she was hoping with whomever she was matched with wouldn't be doing any of this married at first sight or want to get married in general for IG reasons. To me, Becca is open and honest to what she's saying, what she's feeling. I mean, she's really like, you know what, if the person I married and I found out that he was into this for social media, IG, whatever, he wasn't being authentic, like this wouldn't work, because I'm at a point in my life where I want the husband and the white picket fence, just like Austin described when we first met him before he got matched with Emily. So when Austin is talking with Becca's friends are saying, as far as communication style go with Becca, please, communications number one, be direct, be honest, because she's going to be direct and honest with you too. They said if you don't share things and just be all up front, you know, put everything on the table, then her anxiety is going to kick in, and that's not going to be a good thing. And they also say that Becca is a sex kitten. I still think that's a little bit TMI. Let Austin find out by Becca. If she's so much into the bedroom and having a time last night, he'll find out. All right, so when we have Claire's talking to Cameron, and they have this stance and this look, and while Cameron is talking, trying to say, you know, where he's from, what he does, and different little things like that, the sisters are looking at him like, we aren't buying this. We don't care. We don't care. Even Claire's sister, I think the oldest one in confession, was like mocking Cameron, and there's energy. She was mocking the accent, and you know, she was saying like, I'm Cameron, I'm from New Zealand, I'm this, I'm that. I'm like, I mean, I think they're going a little bit too far, because guess what? Cameron isn't the only one in this process. Your sister signed up for it too. So would you be cool if his friends mocked her like that? I don't think you would. Now, later when we see Claire introduce Cameron to her grandmother, she says that her grandmother was married for 60 years. They asked her grandma for a piece of advice that they can take with them for their wedding and for their marriage. And grandma says to stay humble and don't try to one-up each other. Cameron asked grandma what she thinks about their union, like them getting married. And grandma says that she feels like they're being suited well, and also says, don't expect too much too fast. I like that, grandma. Next, when we see Lauren talking with Orion's family, she says that Orion has a lot of layers and she likes that. And the family said, well, you know what? His nickname is Onion. She goes, that makes sense, because onions have a lot of layers. I think Lauren is taking anything that she's hearing about Orion and anything that she feels spiritually going forward, or just in her life, or what she feels like a wedding and a marriage would lead up to. I think she feels like this is everything she has envisioned. Now, when we see Orion talking with Lauren's dad, dad came with all the questions, all the hard no's, yes or no. That's it. So some of the things that Lauren's father was saying was, he told Lauren that, I want to know if this man has a toolbox, because if he does, then he could probably fix anything or fix some stuff. And I'm like, see, that's not true, because sometimes you give a man, because it's technically a manly gift, not saying women don't have tools to work on crafts and houses and everything else either. But just because you have a toolbox don't mean you can use what's in there. Okay, that's just me. But Orion said, yes, he can use some tools. He has a toolbox. Matter of fact, he's an electrical engineer. And when Orion said that, I was like, okay, Orion, you're an electrical engineer. You know, that's very hands-on, and you can fix things and very intricate, right? I thought maybe Dad would go on to a different type of question, like, you know, where do you live, and do you want kids? Different things like that. But oh no, Laura's dad was like, so you plan on staying in Colorado? And Orion said, well, yes and no. He goes, I want to stay in Colorado, have a home here, but I also want to move to the East Coast to work and to live, but come back to Colorado for, you know, the winter, so I can still snowboard and things like that. You know, have two houses, be bi-coastal. Laura's dad was like, wait a minute. You said you didn't say we or me and my wife. So he said, where does Lauren fit into this? Like, where would your wife fit into you moving to New York and you coming back and forth to Colorado so that, you and your wife can do these things together? Dad did not let up one bit. He wasn't trying to hear Orion do anything at all. Matter of fact, I mean, they got married, right? So I'm thinking, like, why would it just be Orion moving to Colorado unless Lauren said, which Orion hasn't even had the opportunity yet to find out if he wants to be home based in Colorado, or maybe she just wants to be home based in Colorado. Okay? But Dad isn't here for that. Dad also said that he doesn't want Orion to feel like he can just do what he pleases and not include Lauren by any means necessary. He said, what else is it that you have to offer? Like, what are you looking for in a relationship? Like, what do you want from my daughter and you going forward? And so then Orion started to explain that he grew up in a matriarch type household. He said that he never even dated outside of his race. And by the time he got to okay, Dad was already like, excuse me? So you grew up in a matriarchal household and you never dated out your race? So what is going on here? Like, why is that? And Orion explained that, because he grew up with all women, maybe he didn't have a say, he didn't have a voice to be bossed around and just anything like that. And again, Lauren's dad is looking at him like, okay, and like that answer isn't good enough for Lauren's dad. And then Orion said to Lauren's dad, well, I didn't know Lauren before and I didn't know you before, but we're married, so I would like to ask you for your approval. Lauren's dad said, my approval? Oh no, I don't even know you yet. And you definitely don't have my approval. That's gonna take some time. So yeah, I understand the questioning. I understand wanting to know the answers. And I understand wanting to know what he can bring to the table for your daughter. I mean, this is a process of being married to a stranger and you don't know him, he don't know you, he don't know nothing, and vice versa. Now, when we have Emily's friends, they are asking Brennan what did he think about Emily when he saw her. Brennan said he was attracted to Emily. Brennan also explained that he's been in a relationship for 2 years because the conversation came up again with why hasn't Emily been in a relationship or a long-term relationship or really been in love with anybody. The friends say that Emily has never been in a relationship because she's honest and won't lie to somebody. So therefore she won't lead anyone on if she feels like the relationship isn't working. They also tell Brennan to please be patient with Emily because she has a short fuse. And they also say that she needs a good partner who will ground her and will pull her out of her shell that she's been in for the last 30 years. Now, if your friends are saying this about you, that you have a short fuse and you need someone to ground her, and they also said she hasn't been in a relationship and they're a little bit concerned about it, I think that is an issue. But clearly the experts think that Emily is fine to be married. So when we see Brennan's friends talk to Emily, the very first thing that comes up is, why haven't you ever been in a serious relationship? Emily says that she feels that she hasn't had a long-term relationship or been in love because she's never found the one. But then she also explained that, she's 29 now, she's been single all this time, and she's ready for this. The friends ask also, if you've never been in a serious relationship before, how will you know that this is the one? And Emily said that her and Brennan will have to have trust in each other and trust to know that this relationship will work out. And it's going to be based on communication. Well, Brennan's friend said, well, that's exactly it. Because Brennan, communication is key with him. And that's the reason why he's not in a relationship now that he's been in for 2 years, because there was a lack of texting, lack of communication, lack of talking, just lack of everything that Brennan was looking for. So, and then Emily goes on to tell Brennan's friends that, listen, don't judge me, but yeah, tonight we might be intimate. Now, why she felt like she had to tell Brennan's friends this, I don't know. Now, after the couples come back together after talking with each other's family, Not too much has changed from what they were saying to each other's friends and family. They just all really want to get the process started and see where things go. Separately, we see Becca and Austin telling their friends and family. They say they're not expecting anything on the wedding night, but they just want to talk with each other, get to build up their foundation, and who knows, they may even play some Nintendo 64 together. And then we have Orion. He's hoping to get to know Lauren more, and he said he's ready for the vibe. He wants to know her energy. He said he's not ready to be intimate tonight. That's not what he was thinking about. And so his friends say, well, what if Lauren wants to be intimate? He goes, well, then it'll be hard. So I guess he would have to go with the flow then. Now, Emily already explained to Brennan's friends and already with her friends that things were going to get spicy. So that's exactly what she's intending. Brennan is saying to his friends, hey, whatever the night takes us is where the night takes us. So he's not opposed to anything that's not on or off the table. So, all right, well, the weddings are complete and over, and next up should be the honeymoons. But before the honeymoons, they usually have the day of a brunch with their friends and family. Let's see if they keep up that tradition this year or just go from the wedding night to the honeymoon. So, all right, everyone. Thank you again for watching. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, comment, and share. And until next time, everyone, live simply, be grateful.